afternoon. The Memphis and Shelby County Board of Adjustment is hereby called to order for its regularly scheduled meeting of February 25th, 2026. My name is Tim Rainey. I'm chairman of the board. Mr. Jeffrey Penzis serves as secretary of the board. Mr. Penzis, may I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bruce.
Present.
Mr. Claybrook.
Here.
Ms. Conrad.
Here.
Mr. Love.
Present.
Vice Chair Savage Salvin.
Present.
And Chair Rainey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. The Memphis and Shelby County Board of Adjustment is the oldest appointed governmental body in Memphis and Shelby County. We were established in 1925. The board hears appeals from administration of the zoning ordinance, requests for variances from the zoning ordinance, and other requests articulated by local zoning laws adopted pursuant to the enabling legislation. The 8 members of the board are appointed, 4 by the mayor of Memphis and 4 by the mayor of Shelby County, with confirmation by the Memphis City Council or Shelby County Board of Commissioners. We serve without remuneration. At this point, I want to swear in the staff. You can remain seated. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, thank you. May I get a motion to approve the minutes from our December meeting?
So moved. Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Mr. Secretary, could you provide us a secretary's report, if there is one this month, and then explain the procedure for today's meeting?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As for the Secretary's report, the only announcement I have is that the January regularly scheduled meeting did not occur due to the weather.
Thank you.
The procedure for this meeting will be as follows. I will introduce each case as listed on the agenda. Copies of the agenda can be found on the front podium. For each case, the planner with the Division of Plan Development will give a presentation. At the conclusion of the staff presentation, the applicant will have 5 minutes to present his or her case. After the applicant's presentation, those speakers in support will have a total of 5 minutes, and those speakers in opposition will have a total of 10 minutes, and then finally the applicant will have 2 minutes to provide rebuttal. These times do not include time for questions from and answers to members of the board. The chairman may provide additional time, provided both sides are given an equal amount of additional time. All parties who wish to provide testimony to the board will be sworn in by the chairman. If a member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support of or in opposition to a particular case on today's agenda, he or she will need to fill out a speaker's card for the record. Speaker's cards are available at the front podium. Once filled out, speaker's cards can be submitted to any DPD staff member at the left podium. We do not need speaker's cards from the applicants since their names are already part of the record. After all parties have been heard, the board will close the public hearing, make a motion, and then deliberate on the case. If the applicant or any speaker would like to be heard after the conclusion of the public hearing, or if a board member wishes to hear additional testimony from any party, a 2/3 vote is required to reopen the public hearing pursuant to the board's rules of procedure. Please note that once the public hearing is reopened, both the applicant and opposition will be allowed to provide additional testimony and/or rebuttal. All motions by this board will be made in the affirmative. The private acts governing the board require the affirmative vote of at least 5 members to approve an application, regardless of the number of board members present. The board may also vote to hold an application for a period not to exceed 3 months with the consent of the applicant or 1 month without the consent of the applicant. All section numbers that we refer to come from the Memphis and Shelby County Unified Development Code, or the UDC, which was adopted by the Memphis City Council and Shelby County Board of Commissioners in August of 2010 and became effective on January 1st, 2011. I will introduce the entire UDC and make it part of today's record, thus dispensing with the reading of individual sections. The board is vested with the power to act on these cases before us today under the provisions of Chapter 9.22 of the UDC. Mr. Chairman, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all applicants have been notified of this hearing, and all notice requirements have been fulfilled as required by the UDC.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this point, the board will establish a consent agenda. To establish the consent agenda, the Secretary will call out each eligible case. If any member of the audience, staff, or board member objects to a case being placed on the consent agenda, he or she should do so by a show of hands when the Secretary reads that case. Once the consent agenda is established, the board will vote on all cases placed on the consent agenda as a whole will not hold individual public hearings on those cases. Mr. Secretary, which items on our agenda are eligible for consent this month?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Item number 3, BOA 2025-126 at 4860 Getwell Road as approval with conditions. Item number 4, BOA 2025-127 at 3141 Ferris View Road as a hold for 1 month. Item number 6, BOA 2025-128 at 561 South Danny Thomas Boulevard as approval with conditions. Item number 7, BOA 2025-136 at 2319 Cardigan Drive as a hold for 1 month. Item number 8, BOA 2025-138 at 1052 South Lauderdale Street as approval with conditions. Item number 10, BOA 2025-141 at 3580 Orchie Road as approval with conditions. Item number 11, BOA 2025-143 at 68 Marnie Street as approval with conditions. Item number 12, BOA 2025-144 at 7782 Armour Road as a hold for 1 month. Item number 13, BOA 2025-146 at 3240 Thomas Street as a hold for 1 month. Item number 14, BOA 2026-1 at 3282 Millington Road as approval with conditions. Item number 15, BOA 2026-3 at 954 River Landing Drive as approval with conditions. Item number 16, BOA 2026-4 at 183 Chelsea Avenue as approval with conditions. Item number 17, BOA 2026-5 at 1192 Florida Street as approval with conditions. And lastly, item number 18, BOA 2026-6 at 943 Mississippi Boulevard as approval with conditions.
Okay, thank you. May I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as established by the Secretary, which would be item 3, approval with conditions, 4 as a whole, 6, approval with conditions, 7 as a whole, 8, 10, 11, approval as conditions, 12, or with conditions, 12 and 13 holds, and then 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 as approval with conditions.
So moved.
All right, I want to remind the board that by voting on the consent agenda, he or she affirms that he or she has read the staff report and is in full agreement with the conditions. Mr. Secretary, may I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bruce,
Yes.
Mr. Clinton,
Yes.
Ms. Conrad,
Yes.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
Vice Chair Savage Selden,
Yes, I find that the standards of the UDC of 9.22.6 are being met and will not be unduly detrimental to the properties in the vicinity.
and Chair Rainey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So if you're here for those cases that were on consent, you've either been approved or held as requested. Thank you for coming down. We'll hear our next case, our first case that we're going to hear today.
Item number 1, BOA 2025-99 at 3734 Ironwood Drive.
Okay, is the applicant present? All right, is there any opposition on the Ironwood case? Okay, sir, you can have a quick seat, and then we'll get a staff report, and we'll bring you back up.
Hi, I'm Joe Bain Culvert with the City of Memphis Division of Planning and Development. This request is a variance to allow a front yard parking pad at 3734 Ironwood Drive. A little bit of background, there was a citation issued in July of last year, and it was held from November and December, and then obviously in January we were held off due to weather. It is located in the southern part of Memphis. Here in this neighborhood, we had 98 notices mailed out. 4 letters in opposition were received. You can see the zoning map here. It is zoned R6. And the land use map shows that it is a single-family land use. Most of that is the same to the north and to the south. You've got a predominantly mixed use, or multifamily land use. And here's a shot of the property from an aerial view. I do believe this is before the parking pad was completed. And here's a few more photos from the site from Google Maps. Once again, these were all taken before the pad was installed. And here's a zoning enforcement photo. This does show the pad being installed. This is from back in July of 2025. Here's the current site plan as it's built. It does show the added concrete extension, 13 feet, 3 inches wide. And if you often notice to the right side of the main driveway, there is an existing bit of concrete, which I'll get into in a moment. The applicant has proposed a modified site plan that instead of having one large parking pad, it does have strips of pavement or concrete instead of one large slab. And here is a rendering of that, potentially. Our analysis, this parking pad is an additional 412 square feet of impervious surface. This also is in addition to 212 feet of impervious surface on the south side of the driveway. We don't believe that this property has any unique challenges compared to the rest of the street. Ironwood Drive has no curves and there's plenty of on-street parking available. Moreover, there's also that already non-conforming concrete pad on the opposite side of the driveway. No other single-family home on the street has an extra parking pad, let alone two. With that, we believe that there's no hardship or practical difficulty rather presented by the applicant that justifies approving this variance, and our recommendation is rejection.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Culver. Are there any questions from staff? What is our,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what is our general opinion? He has the alternate of those other pads. Is that just as bad in staff's sight?
Per the code, that is just as bad because the intent is he's going to park on it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Any,
No, that was my question.
okay. Yeah. All right. Any other questions for staff? Okay. If the applicant will come forward, and if you can give your name and address for the record for us.
My name is Miguel Perez, and my personal address is 2526 Kilgore Cove. Just here representing and hearing out the potential resolution for the owner here.
Okay. All right. Would you like to tell us, share whatever you want to about the case?
Yeah, not a whole lot to say here other than it wasn't the owner's intent to be in nonconformity. Now that he knows, he would like a resolution for this pad. It was the intent to provide a safer parking as he's been hit. Family has been hit a couple times on the street. Now that we know the intent of the code, he would just like to create a pathway or a walkway from the street and from his existing concrete pathway as the front porch concrete is non-connected to, or was not connected previously to the concrete or to the sidewalk. So if we could modify that, that would be a great relief in terms of circulation.
Okay. I think that if you removed the bulk of the pad and just left the concrete like as a walk near the house, that's not any sort of issue, is it?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions for the applicant? Yeah, just so you know, the intent is not to have cars parking ever in that area of the code. So, all right, thank you very much. Let me ask, is there anyone here in opposition to this case? Okay, seeing none. If we could get a motion to approve BOA 2025-99.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and second. Is there any discussion?
So I guess I want to make sure I'm clear. We're rejecting as presented, but if anything, helping them understand that the concrete strips are okay, allowable to walk to, or are we just saying no altogether?
We would say, I think what we're saying is currently what there is not gonna work. If he wants to remove the bulk of that and just leave the, a strip near the house, like a normal little walk, that's just allowed, like there's no variance needed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we vote? Okay, so we're gonna, if we can get a roll call vote, please, and, yes would be allowing the parking pad as in its current shape. A no would be no parking pad, just so we're clear on that. If we can get a roll call, please.
Ms. Conrad,
No.
Mr. Claybrook,
No.
Mr. Bruce,
No.
Mr. Love,
No.
Vice Chair Savage Selden.
No, I find that the standards of the UDC of 9.22.6 are not being met and will be detrimental to the properties in the vicinity.
And Chair Rainey.
No.
Motion fails.
The motion. Thank you for coming down, Mr. Perez.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Secretary, if you'll read our next case.
Item number 2, BOA 2025-125 at 1723 Union Avenue.
Okay, thank you. I see the applicant. Is there any opposition on this case? No. Okay. All right, if we could get a staff report from Ms. Cobbs.
Good afternoon, Kendra Cobbs for DPD. So this is an application, BOA 2025-0125. The applicant is the Cookout Union Avenue Incorporated, represented by Cindy Reeves, and this is located at 1723 Union Avenue. And there are a slew of variances that are being requested for this site. Okay, so looking at the maps, this is located in Midtown, and the Midtown overlay district standards apply. There are also frontage standards that are applicable to this site. So the location map on the left shows the Midtown area. Also, the vicinity map to the right, this is the area where public notices were sent on November 26, 2025. The zoning, as I previously stated, this is the Midtown District overlay. The base zoning district is commercial mixed use 3, but our Midtown District overlay standards apply along with the frontage standards. Looking at the land use map to the right, this is a commercial property, and the majority of the frontages along Union Avenue are commercial. To the south, you do have residences, and that's shown in the yellow. So these are photos of how the property currently looks. It was previously occupied by Backyard Burgers. So the photo to the left is the frontage of that from Union Avenue. And then we do have a picture to the right. This is from LeMaster. That's the side street, and is showing more of the back and side of the lot. So looking at the shopfront frontage standards, and that is also within the staff report on page 14. But some of the standards that would apply to this site, you have a required setback area, a minimum of 2 to 7 feet, 7 feet if there's outdoor seating that would be applied to the site for the restaurant, but no more than 15 feet from the back of the right-of-way. We also have required building frontage where from the front part of the lot, you are required to have at least 70% of the building within the setback area. And so that side street, LeMaster, it would be the 40%. We have transparency requirements We also require that there is a building entrance that is facing the primary street, and ground floor height is 14 feet. So looking at what has, or how the site is currently laid out, these are the standards that would not be met, and it's primarily all of the standards that exist within shop frontage. So the setback area, as I mentioned, the minimum would be 2 to 7 feet, but with this being an existing building, it is set back 42 feet. Also from the side street, it is currently 45 feet from the side street, so it's not meeting the side setback area. We have required building frontage for at least 70%. None of that would be met. Also the transparency requirements. So with Backyard Burger previously being a drive-through restaurant, and there's no sit-down eating space within there. So primarily everything that we will be looking for within the Midtown District overlay in order to create a pedestrian-friendly area and for the shopfront frontage standards, none of this is met by this building because it was previously constructed in 1994 as a drive-through. So these are all the standards that are lacking with this existing site. And these are, this is the information, the elevations that were provided by the applicant. To the left, no change. Basically, the signage would change, and then this is the existing building with signage in the elevation to the right. This site is also not consistent with our Memphis 3.0 comprehensive plan. And as I've mentioned, this is not, with the way the site is laid out, it is counterproductive to having a pedestrian-friendly area. And so that is primarily why it has been found to be not consistent. It is within our anchor neighborhood Main Street, which is a community anchor. And also the degree of change map to the right is showing that it would be a nurture. So I'm just going to go back to some of the things that I've already stated, that this is within our Midtown District overlay and shopfront frontage standards do apply. Because this structure is existing from 1994 and it existed as a drive-through restaurant, none of the standards that we currently would look for can be met with this site. So approving the reuse of this structure, it would directly conflict with the intent of the UDC, the Unified Development Code. And as such, this request fails to meet the variance approval criteria of paragraphs 922(6)(a), 4, and 5. Furthermore, we do not see that there is any hardship or practical difficulty that would warrant any of these variances, and granting of this variance definitely would be a substantial detriment to the code. So with that, we are recommending rejection. However, if this were approved, we ask that the condition as stated would be met. And I am happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Collins. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Reeves, good to see you.
You too.
If you'll give your name and address for the record.
Cindy Reeves, SR Consulting, 5909 Shelby Oaks Drive, Suite 200.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm also going to let you swear in Jeremy Reeves. No relation, but we're still spelled the same.
Okay.
that
Yeah,
is
if you'll
the
come up,
owner of
Mr. Reeves,
Cookout.
and give your address.
Jeremy Reeves, 4941 Finch Farm, Trinity, North Carolina.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, all right, y'all go ahead.
Next slide. So this was the previous Backyard Burger site. It was built in 1994. It's 834 square feet. We felt that this is a perfect location for another cookout restaurant that will be just for drive-through only. Next slide. In approximately 2022, Backyard Burger decided to close this location. In December of 24, you can see that it was being vandalized, and that is the time that my client bought that building, and they cleaned it up to where it does not have the graffiti, and the vandalism is gone. So next slide. So physical hardship. The lot depth is insufficient to support shopfront overlay requirements and is too small to be developed as an anchor neighborhood Main Street site. The site itself is 73 feet wide. There is no way to demo this building and put a 70-foot wide building there that does not meet any of the needs that Cookout needs in order to operate a drive-through restaurant. It's hemmed in by high-volume traffic. Union Avenue is Highway 79, and you also have the Kroger entrance that gives you a lot of congestion. The existing 834 square foot structure was designed and built as a drive-through restaurant. In the current footprint and building layout, it will be difficult to add a small dining area for the building to be closer to the street. Next slide. As you may be aware, there is another Cookout 1/2 mile down the street that does have the dining area. They repurposed the old Danvers and made that into a Cookout. And they also feel the need and have made an investment to build another Cookout that will be just drive-through only. Next slide. The difference between 1723, the Backyard Burger site, it was designed to cater to the on-the-go commuter rather than a sit-down diner. This layout is optimized by moving customers in and out of the corner safely and quickly. The full-service model already provides ample indoor dining, public restrooms, and parking within the same half-mile corridor. Next slide. As you know, a pedestrian was injured and hit by a car on Union Avenue approximately 2 weeks ago, February the 18th. That, I think, killed the pedestrian. Next slide. This is another publication of where they were talking about the multiple pedestrian crashes and highlighted safety concerns on Memphis streets. Next slide. This is the current elevation, and this is the proposed elevation. As you can see, there's very little that they will need to do to this building in order to retrofit it to fit their needs. We just feel that it's not practical to tear this building down in order to meet the shopfront overlay. Next slide. That is our demolition plan. As you can see, it's very minimal. And the proposed floor plan, you can see it's very minimal. And then to the right is the kitchen concept plan. As you can see, it is mostly kitchen and prep area. There's nowhere to be able to add on to that building in order to get it closer to Union Avenue or widen it to make it 70-foot wide. Memphis, next slide. Memphis is currently considered one of the most dangerous cities in the United States for pedestrians, frequently ranking at or near the top for pedestrian fatalities due to factors like high-speed traffic, which Union has. It is a Highway 79, distracted driving, and infrastructure issues, with recent reports in February of 26 showing multiple fatalities. Walking requires extreme caution and high visibility. They also have the dangerous areas. Many fatalities occur on high-speed, multi-lane roads, including Poplar Avenue, Union Avenue, Lamar Avenue, and Winchester Road. Those were all specifically stated in this study. While the city has made improvements with, for example, new sidewalks and bike lanes in recent years, pedestrians should remain vigilant at all times. Next slide. even though the site was vacant for 365 days and the right to have a drive-through has expired, the physical building didn't vanish, it didn't disappear. It can easily be made into anything else. It cannot easily be made into anything else. It is better than letting it sit there and be empty or to demolish it. In 2022, Seven Brew, just down the street, they operate very similar to this, but in 2022, Union Avenue was not a frontage road, so they did not have to go through any of these variances. As far as the variances, it would be very difficult to raise the ground floor height from 11 feet to 14 feet. The setback area would require the building to be either torn down or move it up or add on to an area that would not be able to function the way that it needs to function in order for them to be able to serve their food for their customers to be able to go in and out. The required building frontage, as I stated earlier, is 73 feet, and the shop front requires 70 feet. The transparency requires 50% transparency, so you would be looking into their kitchen and their prep area. The building entrance, there's not a building entrance. This is not for their customers to come into, it's for their staff to be able to serve and to prep. We meet the parking setback because there is no parking between the building and the street, and the heavy landscaping that's existing there, we feel that that's very adequate for what would be needed for that area. So it is still heavily landscaped. That has not been torn down or taken out, but we are available for any questions. We would hope that you would support this and not require us to demolish a building that is it was built in 1994, and we just feel that it's a hardship to try to tear that building down to do basically the exact same thing that building was built to do, how it was built to function. So I'm here for questions, and I'm going to let Jeremy just have just a couple of minutes to give you a little background.
Mr. Reeves?
Hey, I'm Jeremy Reeves, and like I said, no relation, but we know of. So, but we came to Memphis in 2016. We love Memphis. We were so excited to come here. It was, I think, store 201. And now what we want to do is, the reason why we decided to want to do this location is we want to do what we did in Wilmington and in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we have a drive-through only, we have a dining room, we have a headquarters, we have a training center, we have an HR center, we have a whole headquarters setup. We're working on locations right now on Kirby, on Austin Peay, on a couple little towns around Memphis, on Shelby. So we want to make this a headquarters. That's why we're here, and we want to invest here, have HR people here, have a headquarters here. We love Memphis. We want Memphis to be our choice for coming here. We debated between here and Nashville. We want to be here, but we need a drive-through only. The drive-through only was there. These rules, I'm okay with those. We develop those rules in many cities, but we start with a naked lot, and then we design it according to that lot. But this lot is so small that it's not even possible in any way. I've designed lots in, Raleigh, Columbia, we did one just like this, and it's great, but it was a lot 4 times larger, and it had more frontage. So I agree with I'm okay with all of the rules if I was starting with a lot that was large enough and that was starting without a building. But the building's already there, it was already built for that use. We want to drive through only, and I think it's pedestrian friendly because we have these in cities across the Southeast, and you can walk right up easily, and there's plenty of room to walk up for the pedestrians on Union, and there is a lot of pedestrians on Union the way it is, and we could obviously change those windows to doors at the front Now, it's still to-go only, but then we could enter on the front, and I think it would look good from the road. So, but that's our deal is it's not possible to develop it the way it is. It's an existing use. We want to use it the way it is because we're not adding to the building. We're not changing the use. We're not doing anything. We just want to be a part of Memphis. We want to have a lot of people here. We want to have a headquarters here, and we want to invest millions of dollars here. But we want that drive-through only for training with our dining room unit, just like we have in Charlotte, just like we have in Nashville. But we don't have we have one like that in Nashville. But here the difference is we want to be like Wilmington and Charlotte, where we have both, and we can do delivery
I
and a
gotta
headquarters.
cut you off only because we have a 10-minute time limit.
All right,
so-
we're good.
But are there any questions for
But anyway,
Mr.?
but that's what we want to do. We just want to be part of it. We love it. We love Memphis, and we want to use it as is.
Okay.
And we would do all that stuff if it was possible. It's not on a lot that small.
Gotcha. Are there any questions for Mr. or unrelated Mrs. Reeves? No. Okay, thank y'all. Let's see, if we could get a motion to approve. Is there any opposition? I didn't think there was, but I need to ask. Okay, thank you. If we could get a motion to approve BOA 2025-125 as conditioned by staff.
So moved.
Second. Okay, thank you. Any thoughts?
I mean, I see what they're saying. I mean, it's a tight lot. It's never going to get any larger. I will attest, and as a personal experience, I grew up a block and a half from here. I went to school less than a block from there. We walked there and sat on the patio and ate all the time. So that's as pedestrian friendly as it's going to get. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of torn.
Yeah, I mean, I like the shop front idea. And I'm looking at the things that we want to do on that, but like, I don't know how we do that on that lot. It's so narrow. And they at least are putting all the parking pretty much away from Union, so this seems like a case for a variance.
I saw we had a letter from the neighbor behind about updating the fence and everything. I'm assuming that's going to be part of the, just a nod or,
We'd be fine.
yeah, okay. I mean, can we put that in there, Chairman Rainey?
Yes. So you'd want to add a condition of, updating the pairing fencing in the rear.
Yeah, and then they did have some questions. I guess that letter also said something about hours of operation. I don't know I haven't looked at their current hours down the street.
Cookout's open pretty late,
Yeah, it is.
but, it's also on Union.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be interested in limiting hours.
I was just
Right,
curious,
yeah.
Bringing it up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Is there a specific type of fence, or are we just asking them to repair the existing fence?
It's forever been a wooden, probably 6 or 8 foot, whatever's there.
I think just removing the dilapidatedness of it, they just call it a dilapidated fence. I don't know if they were, sufficient, replaced or sufficiently repaired is even what the person,
Right.
their comment was. So, is there any problem with adding that condition to repair, replace the fence?
No.
All right, then we'll add that to the conditions. Any other thoughts?
So how would this apply to, how would this apply to subsequent owners? I guess if we allow it to pass, if we allow the variance now, how would that variance apply to subsequent owners?
You mean to other lots? Or
No, to this lot, if they sell it or somebody else takes over ownership?
It would be, it would be good until the, I guess if the building was torn down, or if it was like closed for longer than a year.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chairman, we're looking at something here that we may need to clarify. So I didn't get the question.
The question was, if, let's say we do approve it, you know, they could sell the building to somebody else and stuff like that, but would this variance still go away if it was, you know, if it goes for 365 days without being used?
A variance
Or does it last forever?
it runs with the land. So if it's approved, but I think we may need to clarify something
Okay.
that's relevant to this
Gotcha,
discussion.
okay.
So,
We'll keep discussing if we have discussion or wait. Are there any other?
No, that's it. I just thinking about, and I understand it for the applicant.
Yeah.
Just thinking about at what point will we be able to get the lots to conform with the rules that apply? And it's you know, that's the difficulty. And
I guess my question on that is kind of what we started out with. It's never going to get any wider. So it's never going to fully conform.
You know, if it was combined with the next lot, but that's something
Right.
you can't necessarily control.
Because if you, I mean, it's only so wide, and it calls for a 70-foot width of buildings.
Yeah. Or I think it's 70%
Okay.
of the frontage, but that leaves, you only have a 70-foot wide thing, so
Right.
it's hard to deal with.
I think we're still looking to clarify something. I
Okay,
apologize.
sure. We'll wait. The one on the other one is open till 3.
Well, that Wendy's used to be open 24 hours.
Yeah.
4 a.m. on Friday and Saturday.
They're right. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
The update is, we have now realized this variance is completely unnecessary. Non-conforming structure does not have a 365-day limit. A non-conforming use does, but this site is zoned CMU3, and a drive-through is allowed in CMU3, so they actually have no problems.
Okay. Wow. So we don't need to do anything. Okay.
I guess you could just, they could either withdraw the case on the record if we want to open it back up, the public hearing, or we just have to reject it.
Would you want to withdraw it or just us reject it, Cindy?
I would rather withdraw than reject,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just in case. I would say this.
I wish we would've
I would
done that.
imagine y'all are planning to do, we talked about the fence. I figure y'all are doing that anyway because y'all always
Yes.
have nice looking sites, but thank you for fixing the fence.
That fence was built in 1994 when Backyard Burger was built, and so it does need to be replaced. And
Okay.
there was a lot of discussion about that fence back then, so
Okay.
wish we would have known this a little while back.
Yeah.
But we appreciate knowing it now.
Okay, all right.
Okay, okay.
Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. And this one, now their building permit can continue to be processed.
Yes.
Because that's been put on hold. Thank you.
And yeah, this was no pun intended with my backyard burger cup, so.
Ma'am, what'd she say?
Thank y'all. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. If you could, Mr. Secretary, call the next case for us.
Yes, item number 5, BOA 2025-119 at 6 West Geter Road.
All right, is the applicant here for this Geter Road case? Yes, ma'am. Is there any opposition for this case? All right, Ms. Christian, when you get ready, if you'll give us a staff report, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Chloe Christian with DPD. I'll be presenting this case today. It's case number BOA 2025-0119. The applicant, Ms. Kimberly Hill, is here with us today, and the property is located at 6 West Geter Road. This is a 2-request case. So the first request is a use variance to allow a group shelter, and the second request is a variance to allow 2 single-family homes to be built on one lot. So here's where the property is located in the South Memphis area. And just as another recap and background of the case, there are 2 requests that we're looking at today. One for the use and one to allow 2 structures on the same lot. And we are recommending rejection of both of these requests for a few reasons, but the 2 main ones would be that the proposed use we find is not compatible with the surrounding area. There are a lot of vacant and single-family residential lots in this area, and we did receive some opposition letters from the neighbors regarding the use. And as far as the second request, the property actually meets all the criteria for a standard minor subdivision, so we find that there's no unique circumstance here where that would not be this typical standard procedure. So the property is highlighted in yellow in the image on the left-hand side there. It's zoned R6. It currently has 1 single-family home on the lot. As I mentioned, the surrounding uses are predominantly vacant land and single-family residences. Here's some site photos of the property. As you can see, the existing home is sort of focused on the western side, so the proposal would be to build another home on the opposite side of that lot. Here's the proposed site plan that you can see here. As far as the Memphis 3.0 plan goes, this proposal is found to be inconsistent with the future land use goals. So in conclusion, the intent of the Unified Development Code is that every building in a residential area should be located on its own lot. And so this application is directly against that intention. As I mentioned before, the applicant does have the option to apply for a subdivision to legally divide this lot into 2 and build a structure on each of those separate lots. And so in our opinion, there is not a justification for a variance that would allow 2 principal structures on a single lot, given that that same lot can be subdivided legally. As far as the use goes, as I stated, we don't find that the use of a group shelter would fit with the surrounding area here. I believe Ms. Hill will be able to give a little bit more information about the specifics of the use, but it would include classes being offered on site to children that are that are 18 to 24 or coming out of foster care. And as I mentioned, we did receive some calls that were not in favor of a use like this in this particular area, given that there are some senior citizens in the area. And essentially, the granting of this variance would cause substantial detriment to the public good and substantially impair the impact or the intent and purpose of the UDC. And ultimately, there is no practical hardship or difficulty presented that justifies approving this request. Here are the standards that I had mentioned earlier. The building regulations of the R6 district are in the graphic on your screen here. This site meets all these standards. The property has well over the required minimum of square footage and lot width to get a subdivision recorded. And then again, the UDC is pretty clear that if there are more than one structures on a residential lot, we actually consider those to be apartments, and apartments are also not allowed by right in a residential single-family district. So our recommendation is to reject this request. However, if request 1 is approved, we recommend the following conditions that are on your screen. And we also recommend a full rejection of request 2 to allow 2 single-family homes on 1 lot. And that concludes my presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? So let me ask you, to be a social service institution, so that, or a group shelter, sorry, there would be someone living there that was staff and then other people, is that correct?
I believe so. Let me check the definition.
I guess my question, like I have somebody I know wanting to do something and they're wanting to house 4 people as part of a charity thing. There's going to be no in-house staff. Is that the same thing? Like if we just wanted to provide a house that people could live in because they need a place to stay, is that still considered a group shelter? Let's say they're not paying rent.
Can I say something?
Not yet, but we'll get to you for sure.
So I missed your example, but I have the definition of group shelter. I'll read that. And let me know if this answers the question. Group shelter says a residence operated by a public or private agency which may provide a program of services in addition to room and board to persons on a voluntary basis under continuous protective supervision. This definition does not include supportive living facilities and other things. So it's basically that person.
That helps. Okay. All right, are there any other questions for staff? Okay, ma'am, if you can come up now.
Okay.
And if you'll give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Kimberly Hill. My address is 1498 Union Avenue, Suite 205.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and share with us.
Well, this is not a group home. It's for youth that's aging out of foster care. So these are adults, right? I own the property to the east of 6 West Jita. So I started taking in foster children. DCS contacted me and asked me to take on some children, and I did in my personal home. So then I saw there was a need for these children because some of them were homeless and some of them were, going to a life of crime. So the house next door became, actually, there were a lot of drug heads living there. And so I asked the guy, what was he going to do with it? I called code enforcement to keep these people out this vacant home. So I was able to purchase the property. And then I thought it was a good idea to get a variance versus the subdivision, because that way I can keep them together, because I'm not going to sell them, to keep all 3 of the units together. My property and then the property that I purchased will have 2 units on it, no more than 4. There are going to be 4 bedrooms, but in order for DCS asked me to have a separate, like an office. So we have 24-hour care, which is optional, but we are going to do that because these children are coming out of a hostile situation into, living with other individuals. So that's what I'm doing.
Any questions?
Yes, so you're saying you don't want to subdivide because you're not going to sell, but eventually you will sell. So someday.
Yeah, probably, maybe.
So
You're not planning to anytime soon, but eventually everything sells.
Right.
Correct. So, and in that case, then you can't sell one without selling both.
Right. So it would be like, so what I looked up is because I came from Nashville, right? So Nashville, you know, they have the tall and skinnies, and those are called the Horizontal Property Act, which allows you to take one property and build another property on the side, and you call it Unit A and B, and then you create like a homeowners association. So that's what I was doing. But I'm not opposed to doing the subdivision. I just don't have the funds to continue to, you know, pay for, because this is a nonprofit organization. I don't have the funds to keep paying for engineers and civil plans and stuff like that.
Other questions? Yeah, I think that you would, so the horizontal property stuff, that's just a condo. Like we know those, that's the easy way of saying it. It's the same thing. And I don't think we could do condos here.
In Memphis?
Not in Memphis, but probably not in this neighborhood, like under the zoning.
Okay.
So they've done a bunch of stuff in Nashville. It's just all what's allowed in different zoning things. So even there, just like where we can't, they were talking about being like apartments, which is similar to that, but like it's just not allowed in there to do that. So I think you do need to split them. I don't think the minor subdivision's that bad, but I understand every dollar is a dollar you're not using for something else. So we do get that, but I think that's the way you want to go. And as far as ever selling it later, I think it'd be better to have them separate. Because then you can choose, pick and choose what you want to do. You're not stuck with anything. You can always combine two lots and just use them that way. That's not a problem. It didn't lock you into not doing something later with one lot.
Well, I appreciate the feedback.
So as far as that, I think you're good. I'm still, so I want to talk more about what you're doing with the people living there.
Okay.
So you're talking about having in each one 4 18 to 24-year-olds.
Yes.
And is there someone else living there with them, or is it just them?
No, not living there. We have different shifts. Like, you know.
But there'll be someone there around the clock.
Oh, yeah, someone there.
Yeah. There's someone, what's that about working there is a better way to do it. Yeah. Okay. Because that's what throws us into just like, as opposed to just a charity that has a house that helps to house people where they just come and go as they want without anybody. Is that correct? Maybe.
If you had 4 people living in a house normally, I mean, I guess whether there was someone there supervising them or not wouldn't really be our concern, but mainly they would have to be there at least on a monthly basis.
Right, not like a daily movement or whatever.
Yeah. I think the group shelter, right, there's no monthly basis requirement, so it could be a day, a week, it could be anything. And then it requires that they are there voluntarily, and they have to be under continuous protective supervision.
That is the group shelter?
Yes, that's the group shelter.
Okay. So these are all adult, this is for my own questions. These are all adults now.
Yes.
But Child Services is still taking an active role in their lives due to what they've been through, correct?
Yes, only if they work or go to school. And so what we're doing, we have partnered with some of my friends and partners in Whitehaven area that will allow them to come and work, like as an intern, or if they have experience to work, so they can pay for their housing. But DCS does offer them a stipend if they continue to, you know, go to school or work.
So when you're saying paying for their housing, is that something that they would pay to the services or pay to you, or is it subsidized by the service? How does that work?
Yes, they absolutely have to pay for housing, but we provide meals as well, meals and classes, like she was saying. Yeah, so.
Is that still a group if they're having to pay for housing? What does that become?
I think it's still because of the way the care is being done. I think it's still, so just so you know, here's why it makes a difference to us and what we're trying to ask about. Like, I don't know that what you're doing there, I mean, it sounds like a pretty cool thing, like neat thing. But when we open it up to group housing, then like we were talking about with Cookout, you may have heard that question. When does this end, or does it? Like, it goes on forever. So let's say, you know, you do this and it's great for 5 years, you move on to something else for whatever reason, then any sort of group housing is now grandfathered into there in this residential area. And so when we have questions and stuff, it's not so much what you're doing, it's like, well, what else could go on there when you're not around anymore?
Right.
So that's why we're stuck with, like, you know, I don't necessarily have just, if you just ask me, does this sound like a good idea? I'd say, yeah, but you're opening the door to any sort of else, you know, drug counseling with people off the street for one day at a time would be allowed there and stuff, which isn't necessarily conducive to this neighborhood where it is.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Do you think this would be better than a drug house where they're using crack and setting the houses on fire? Before I purchased this house, those people that's living there, the people that's using drugs and staying in there and doing all kinds of stuff, broke into my house 27 times. 27. So that's what prompted me to call code enforcement. So whatever goes there, if people out there and it's being monitored, it's going to be better than what is going on now. I even went to my neighbors and tried to start a neighborhood watch, but they ran me off their property. This is 38109. Police is over there all the time. So what I'm doing is definitely an improvement to the neighborhood. So I'm not quite sure I understand about the group homes, but this area over here, even the children, even the kids walking from school, they have stopped by and I, gave them money to cut my grass, to keep the vacant lot clean, to try to keep those people off their lot. But when I called the police, I knew exactly where my stuff was, but the police wouldn't even go over there. Because they have a house right behind the church. And also the pastor is on my board. We have a church across the street, and we have...
Is that Georgia Avenue?
Yes, that's Georgia Avenue, and he's actually the principal at Fairley. So one of the guys that was staying with me, they had him getting his GED, but I pulled him out of school, out of the GED program, and put him back in Fairley High School with the help of Dr. Hunter, so he could, try to get acclimated to, creating structure and going back to school, because DCS just throwing these kids they're just throwing them out on the street.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't want to speak for my colleague, but I got a feeling that we all see the value in what you're doing. The challenge that I have is finding the uniqueness or the hardship here. And I'm thinking that maybe this would be better suited as another application type.
Okay.
It's just my thought. I don't know exactly whether it be a subdivision or a PD. I don't know, but that's the challenge that I'm having.
Does that help us with the use, you think?
Not sure.
The subdivision would not, but the planned development, in theory, could.
And that goes through...
That goes to the Land Use Control Board and then City Council.
Yeah.
And thank you, Mr. Penzies. Yes. And the benefit of the PD, and the reason I mentioned that is because there could be some conditions that we could add, or that they could add to, hopefully address some of the questions or concerns that the opposition has as well.
Yeah, so, our authority is to find something unique about, really like the physical attributes of the property. And when we find that, like with Backyard Burger, or that we just did, it was super narrow. We didn't have a lot of things to do. You have like a lot big enough to put 2 things on. It can be used for residential. It's just like, so it makes it hard for us to find that finding of fact that says, yes, this is what it can be used for, because it's usually when other things can't work there. And so that's, now with a PD, that's different. That's where you do a actual subdivision, and it is very specific on what can and go on there, but that goes through a different board with different types of authority. They do it based on, hey, does this sound like a good plan? And then the city council approves it. Like, we don't have that safety valve of council, but we also have a very narrow thing we're able to see. That's why we're able to act the way we are. So I don't like, if that makes sense on what Greg was saying. We're having trouble getting you where we want you to be with the authority this board actually has.
Okay, is that for like the group as far as the usage and not the subdivision? You mean the usage, right?
Yeah, the subdivision is, if you were just subdividing and like, let's take the use out of it.
Okay.
Like a minor subdivision is a fairly easy process.
Okay.
It doesn't go to LUCB, does it?
No, it's approved by the zoning administrator.
Yeah, just so that's easy to get, like, hey, this lot's big enough, let's just split it into two.
Okay.
Because both those lots are, there's no, like, we don't need to give a variance because it's legally big enough to do it.
Okay.
So that part is easy. The use, maybe the PD helps. And so when you think of the plan development, we have this overarching thing of zoning in every little area. What a PD does, it comes in and it almost like, I don't want to say spot zoning, but it like creates its own little thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's created by the legislature, because it's approved by council that, hey, we'll allow these things. So it can do things that, where zoning's a big net, this can be very specific on allowing something. I don't know if they will, I'm not saying they would necessarily say okay, but that's probably the easier way to get it done, because I think our hands are tied on the use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you could just say yes and then we'd be done.
If we could, we would, I think. Are there any comments or discussion or ideas?
Sounds like we're not going to take a vote on this, right? So she would have to.
Does it help her also to withdraw this?
It wouldn't matter either way. The opposite would apply, but if you reject a variance, there's no hindrance on filing like a plan development or something.
It's a different
Yes,
ask.
correct.
Okay.
I got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Is there a way to convert this application?
No, it's a different board.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is if there's a way that the applicant can take what she's paid for this application process and apply it to a PD application process.
So at this point, our fee refund, which was approved by the legislative body, would say there's no, you're not entitled to any refund. We're already at the board.
Okay, so is it your recommendation that we vote or that she withdraw?
That option would be up to the applicant if she wishes to withdraw.
Okay,
If
so
not,
it's probably always better to withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
If for some reason you decide, by dang, I'm going to go back and just ask him again, if you withdraw, you've reserved the right to ask.
Okay.
If we reject, you can't come back for this exact thing, I think, for 6 months? Or is it longer?
6 months is correct.
6 months.
Okay.
So if you just say, I'll withdraw it, that still leaves you with the ability to come back sooner. If I don't know they would be any different, but at least it reserves something that you wouldn't reserve with a rejection.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I would like to withdraw.
Okay, thank you so much for coming down, and best of luck to you. It sounds like a great program for these kids.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Mr. Penzis, we call our next case.
Item number 9, BOA 2025-140 at 2033 Young Avenue.
All right, is the applicant here? Okay, and then we have opposition. Okay, is the applicant here?
It does not look like the applicant is here.
Should we,
I guess we can push it to the end and see if we can contact them, or did they completely forget about us? We only have one other case to hear about.
yeah,
So they don't have much time if they're not here.
right. Would it make sense to hear a brief staff report and hear from our opposition, even if we end up wanting to hold today, so we can get them on the record?
So I know Robert has previously opined he does not like that.
He
He
does not
likes the
like that,
hearing to
okay.
happen with the applicant and the opposition here instead of bifurcating things. I believe if things end up in court, it also makes it.
Gotcha, okay, that makes sense.
And Julia is continually nodding in agreement.
I'm like,
Well, just so you know, I don't care what Robert says. I care what Julia says.
Oh, I hope he's not listening.
Okay, so to the opposition, thank you for coming down. Our typical, we don't know why the applicant's not here. We typically don't have a hearing unless we have both parties. So when someone doesn't show up, we typically will hold that case for a month. Now, if they don't show up again, we don't have that same sort of, latitude with them. But like people, we just know people run into things that we hate to just say when they're not here to defend anything.
Okay.
So what I would tell you to do is talk to our staff planner on this, which is Ms. Cobbs, that's right over there, and she can kind of give you some other direction on that. Okay. But thank you for coming down and being here on time. And
Thank you.
okay. All right. But let me get. You're good. Is there a motion to hold this case?
so moved.
Second. All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. So that's held for until next month's meeting. All right. If you can call our last case.
Yes, sir. Item number 19, BOA 2026-7 at 2999 Overton Crossing Street.
Okay. I see the applicant. Is there any opposition today? There is some opposition. I got two here. So if y'all want to go ahead and just come down and sit a little closer, so we have you close. What we'll do first is we'll get a staff report, and we'll get that from Ms. Cobbs when she stops, when they talk a little bit, since that was my idea. And it looks like they're done. So she's going to give us a staff report, and then we'll move to the applicant and the opposition to discuss the case. You got all the cases today almost, it seems, Ms. Cobbs.
Yes, it's busy. Okay, let's see. Okay. I apologize for the wait. Kendra Cobbs, Division of Planning and Development. So this is a BOA 2026-0007. It's located at 2999 Overton Crossing Street. And our applicant is Mr. Kamal Nakali, and representation by David Bray. And this is a variance from item 263J1C to allow a convenience store with gas pumps within 125 feet of a residential district. So looking at the location map, this is located in Fraser, and also on February 5th, 2026, notices were sent out to the properties that are highlighted in blue, outlined in blue. Looking at the zoning map, this is at the corner of, it's at the southwest corner of Whitney Avenue and Overton Crossing Street. So the zoning map to the left shows the highlighted property. It is zoned commercial mixed use 1. And the land use map, the property is marked by the star. It's commercial. And the corner property adjacent across the street is also commercial, but all the properties pretty much to the west of this site are residential with a few vacant lots. So this is a current view of the property. It is a vacant lot. There was a structure there that was recently torn down in 2024, I believe. And then this is a view, the right picture, it's a view of the property from Overton Crossing Street, the side street. Now, these pictures, these images show the existing gas station that is across the street from the site, and that's at the southeast corner. And then the aerial view to the right, the site is highlighted, and it shows all the residential properties that exist down Whitney Avenue. This is the proposed site plan. This is for a gas station, so it's being proposed that a 3,567 square foot building would be built on site, and there will be 3 fuel pumps. So this request is also inconsistent with our Memphis 3.0 plan. It is currently designated, the future land use designation is Anchor Neighborhood Crossing, and because of the proposed gas station, it does not promote pedestrian-friendly or a mixed-use development within the area. And as you can see in the map, the bottom left map, all of that in yellow, those are residential properties. So just to close, this request is for a gas station at a vacant site. There is also a companion case that has been submitted, special use permit 2026-0006, and also this site is directly adjacent to a single-family residential property. Single-family residential home, and also single-family residential zoning, R6 zoning. And so because of that, the variance has been requested because it does not meet the requirements or the standards of the development code. Because also, immediately across the street is an existing gas station as well. And so for these reasons, we do not see that there is any unnecessary hardship associated with the site. There was previously commercial at the site, but it was a store, and that has been torn down. But the store that existed was a neighborhood-friendly use. And so staff does not see a gas station being as a neighborhood-friendly use. But also, just as the code states, it's not within that 120-foot distance from residential. So with that, we are recommending rejection. However, if approved, if there is a site plan that has been changed, we would like that to be submitted for approval. Also, based on the fact that there has been a special use permit that has been submitted, we're saying or requesting that should that special use permit not be approved by City Council by February 25th, 2027, that the variance will be rendered null and void. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for staff? So with the special use permit application, is that just because, that's just you have a gas station there, and it's typically not allowed by zoning to even have a gas station?
It would be allowed with a special use permit based on the zoning. So since it's zoned CMU1, and gas stations will be required to have a special use permit within CMU1 zoning.
Okay. Does any of this have to do with like what street it's on, or like the collectors and arterials and all that stuff? Does that come into this analysis at all?
No.
Because only certain corners can have gas stations, right?
Well, we have standards that are within the development code, and I'd have to defer to Mr. Penzis to pull that up.
So those standards for the arterial collector or collector only apply to gas stations in CMU3. Because essentially in the CMU1 and 2, you basically need a special use permit anyway, always.
Okay. All right. Very good. Are there any other questions for staff?
I do have a question. In regards to the gas station that's opposite, is it suffering from the same distance and residence variances or issues as well, or is this one unique in that instance?
I believe that gas station has been in existence prior to the code. And so this standard, this has been in place since 2012, I believe, based on the zoning. And so that's why it is being applied to this site.
Looking at the land use map, the other gas station doesn't abut any residential. So if it were to have applied, it wouldn't have that problem. I think this subject property, the abutting parcel to the west is actually single-family residential.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, Mr. Bray, if you want to come up and talk with us.
Good afternoon. David Bray with the Bray Firm, 2950 States Plaza North.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. So normally I come up here and I'm pretty much in agreement with the staff report and maybe disagree with the conclusion, but agree with the other points that are made in it. Today I'm going to disagree with almost the entire staff report. So it gets started with, in conclusion 6 of the staff report, says there's no hardship. But what we're going to look at here is the zoning is not consistent with the development pattern that's along there, which is what's creating the hardship here because of the zoning pattern that actually exists along Overton Crossing and through this intersection. And I know that with 19 cases, and this particular staff report was 32 pages, you guys all read every page of every staff report, all 570 pages, and so you're intimately familiar with the staff report, but I'll point out some highlights from it. So that was conclusion 6. Conclusion 7 said it would be injurious to the neighborhood. And I'm going to get to these points in a minute. On page 15, it references the CMU1 zoning and the fact that there's a C-store across the street. Page 19, dealing with the Memphis 3.0, says it's not consistent with surrounding developments. Page 18, we have Anchor Neighborhood Crossing not continually compatible with current residential low-intensity development patterns and this auto-oriented development patterns. So if you read the staff report and you just look at the zoning map, it looks like this is an area of what we used to call neighborhood commercial, that everything should be walkable, everything should be pedestrian friendly, and that's what should be there. But that's not what's there. These properties along this stretch have developed over time, and they're not consistent with the current code. I don't think anything that's been built there has been built since the current code got in place. So we took a look at the 1,200 feet going from Vine on the south to one lot north of Whitney. And here are the businesses that we have along there. Mobile Mechanics, auto-oriented and appropriately in CMU3, not CMU1. Dugan Restoration was a contractor's business, appropriately in CMU3 with an SUP and auto-oriented. We got a supermarket, that's a CMU1 use. We got a car lot, which requires an SUP, and it's auto-oriented. We got a pair of empty buildings. We have a barber shop, that's CMU1, that would be consistent. We have Quick Fast Body Shop. CMU3 zoning is what it should be in, and it's auto-oriented. We have Jim's Corner Bar, which we would hope would not be auto-oriented, but also requires an SUP if it's going to be located in this zoning district. We have the Valero Quick Mart, which would be CMU3 if it were a use by right, and it's auto-oriented. And then we have iCare, which is CMU1, and AHS Alliance, which would be CMU3. So 10 developed businesses in this 1,200 feet, 7 of them require a more intensive use than CMU1, either a special use permit, a BOA case, a use variance, something to allow them in this use. For whatever reason, this 1,200 feet, quarter of a mile or slightly less, has developed as more CMU2, CMU3 uses. And that's what creates the hardship, because we do have the residential just to the west on Whitney, but you have a very heavily intensive commercial area along this stretch. Additionally, and I said before, and I don't know when every business opened in there, but it doesn't look like any of them have been built since the new code was in place. There's nothing along this stretch that would meet the new code. We have fences up to the right-of-way. We have zero landscaping. I found one shrub that would be considered a streetscape shrub, and I think it grew wild. I don't think it was planted. There's no street trees. There's in most of the cases, there's asphalt all the way up to the back of the sidewalk. There's none of the things that we find in the UDC for developments, for what's required now. So this site plan, we have the required streetscape buffers. We have 10 feet along Whitney and 8 feet along Overton Crossing. We'll have the landscaping, we'll have the shrubbery, we will have the neighborhood market, which is what my client wants to develop, but the economics of it are that a neighborhood market works better with gas sales. Now, I know there's also mentioned in the report that there's another store across the street with gas sales. Now, if instead of a Valero gas sales over there, that was a Walgreens and we were applying for a CVS, everybody would think that was wonderful. If it was a Starbucks and we were applying for a 7 Brew, everybody would think that was wonderful. But because it's 2 convenience stores, we have objection to it because we should only need 1 convenience store. Well, some people don't like Valero, or maybe they don't like the owner of that store, or maybe they don't like the lighting or the security on that site. That's the risk that my client is taking if he's willing to open it up with another store over there. But as far as the staff report goes and what we're trying to prove today, there is a hardship with the way this area has developed and the unfortunate location of this business next to, or this potential business next to existing residential. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Bray?
I've got a couple of questions. Yes. It's 2 questions. I want to kind of give you a chance to respond to them. First of all, I think your main argument, or one of your arguments, is that we've got a lot of existing businesses that don't conform with the requirements that apply now. But I think you acknowledged that all of them were built before the current requirements came into place. I'd just like your thoughts on when and how you think the city or the community could change the zoning of an area if we always have to stay open to allow past practices, past uses to stay in place. That's first, just kind of addressed. I'd like to get your thoughts. The second one is, this one we've got a neighboring property that's a residence. Can you talk about how that property can be protected against any harm or contaminants that might come from gas pumps being on the street? I just want to hear your thoughts on those.
Okay.
Those questions.
And on the first one, I understand the point that you're making, but that's why I would advocate that new development is helpful. Because if this store comes in and meets the requirements of the UDC, and this has, we have the canopy attached to the building and the, all of the design guidelines of the UDC, we're not asking for any variances on those. We're doing all of the things that would be asked in CMU1. The only issue is the proximity. And as you guys know, serving on this board, development breeds new development. And there hasn't been anything new in this area in a while. And this would be a step in the right direction towards bringing some level of development into this area. Is it perfect? No. But is what's in the zoning code and what's in Memphis 3.0 reflective of what's out there? No. So I don't know that we can go from here to here in one step, but maybe we can go to here. And as far as the, we are sensitive to the resident to the other side. So the site would lay out a whole lot easier and a whole lot better if we had oriented towards the north. We did not. If you look at the site plan, we've got it oriented towards Overton Crossing. The pumps would be that direction. So what would be adjacent to the residential is the back of the building, the same back of the building if we built a neighborhood grocery there. As far as the contaminants and the tanks, those are TDEC requirements for what goes in now. I would say that even separated by the street, they're probably going to have less issue with a brand new store built to 2026 standards than the store that's existing across the street and anything going on with those tanks. We don't know when those were last upgraded.
Okay, thank you.
Where are the tanks? Are they in the corner, like underneath that parking area?
Yeah, they probably
northeast corner.
Possibly on the south side, just outside the canopy, or possibly just north of the canopy.
Okay. And I think your applicant, if you like to talk, if you'll come up and get sworn in.
I just wanted to add.
Well, you need to get,
you have to get sworn in and give your name and address.
Yeah. If you'll give your name and address for the record.
Kamal Nockley, 1549 Cordova Mills. That's where I live, but the address is 2999 Overton Crossing.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead and share with us.
I wanted to add just a point to Mr. David. In regard to your questions with contaminations, the state has mandatory inspection once every 3 months or 6 months for us to be in compliance with the state in regard to any contamination. In other words, they pay attention to the smallest details in regard to any contaminations. I do have another property with another gas stations, and I do follow with the state. Ever since I've built that property, and I've registered my tanks with the state of Tennessee, they do come in, and we do have obligations with them every month, and then with somebody come in, if there's any leakage or any kind of contamination, they would let us know immediately. So I don't want to interrupt him, but just wanted to add that thing. The second thing is I would like to be inconsistent with Memphis 3.0 with offering more electric vehicle charge stations on that same property. Ms. Cobb did not mention that. Furthermore, the property has been in non-use since 2006, ever since I've actually laid eyes on that property. And it's been vacant since 2006. And the fact that when you bring in...
Can you move closer to the mic? I know you're trying to address Mr. Bruce.
And the fact that when you come in and bring some more development, others will follow. And I believe this. I do have this, I believe this wholeheartedly. I have properties that fortunately run down because certain codes would not, we can't do that. I mean, the codes are not updated with Memphis, with what we wanted to do and build on this property. And I've seen that. I've been here for 34 years. So I've seen this on different properties that I own. Unfortunately, I can't help that. And that's why I've asked David to help me out with that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? I have a question for staff, and y'all may not be able to answer this at all. The 125-foot rule, like, do we know what that was based on? sometimes in laws, we have legislative history to tell us like what people were thinking, but that's just, where the 125, is that noise, is that contaminants? Or that's just, it is what it is?
While the hearing goes, we can see if we have any history on it.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions? Yeah, Mr. Love.
I definitely see the logic in development and development following development. Was there an opposition?
Two opposition were in here. Yeah.
So my concern wouldn't necessarily be contaminants from substances, but I would be concerned with like light spillage onto the nearby residential land uses, as well as noise and just the commotion that, for lack of a better term, that comes with the gas station. And in my mind, the fact that the UDC requires an SUP in the CMU1 and CMU2 districts, in my mind, I'm not saying that this is exactly their intent, but in my mind, it's to be able to take a look at the density that's around that commercial use, to see how the proximity that it is to residential land uses. In assessments that I've made on properties like this, and I'm not saying that this will be your project, and this will happen to this site, but what I've seen a lot of the times is when a use like this is so close to a residential land use, and in this case, it abuts it immediately, that house is usually vacant, or that house is usually, and the houses within immediate proximity usually suffer from the land use and the business of a gas station. And I'm not saying that that's going to be this one, but these are my concerns. And I imagine that those are probably going to be some of the concerns of the people that are in opposition. Thank you.
Can I address?
Sure. Yeah.
It's, first of all, the light spillage, and we'd be happy to have a condition put on this. I anticipate that this will be a condition at City Council when we move forward with an SUP, that a photometric plan be submitted as a part of anything addressing the light levels at the property line. With the canopy pointing to the east instead of to the west and the building in between, that should not be a problem in this case. And as far as just the general activity and disturbance, this is not going to be a 24/7 operation. We will have hours of operation, and it will not be operating overnight. And again, that's something that if we want to discuss with this board, we can do it, or we can do that. That's typically something that's brought up at City Council level.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we're going to move to the opposition. Do we have any time that we can reserve?
They have 2.5 minutes.
2.5, so it'd be 4.5, correct?
No.
Total, 2.5 would be for the rebuttal. Okay. All right, I got two people here in opposition. Y'all can volunteer to come up, or I can call a name. Does one of y'all want to speak first? Okay, go ahead. And if you'll give your name and address for the record.
My name is Devora Sutton. My residence is 2112 Alta Vista Avenue, formerly Alta Vista Drive. I live within, I'm sorry.
If you'll, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, Ms. Sutton?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I live within 0.2 miles of the address that they're wanting to put a gas station on. There's 105 feet, a 4-minute walk. There's a gas station already across the street from their residence. There are 5 gas stations within a 1-mile radius of me. There are 16 gas stations within a 2-mile radius of me. There are 3 convenience stores, including the gas station that is across the street from the location that they are talking about. And one is their gas station across the street, and then we have 2 others. There are 0.2 miles and 0.3 miles. I do not feel that our community needs another gas station. Number one, for health hazards. Number two, for safety. Ever since that convenience store has become a gas station, we've had murders, we've had shootings, we've had numerous young guys coming to do the little donuts in the neighborhoods, disrupting our sleep and our peace in our neighborhood. And our neighbor was murdered. We have homeless people. When I go to the store now, I'm seeing people with their already open to carry weapons. There's a lot of altercations. Like I said, homeless people, panhandling. This is not going to improve our neighborhood. It's not going to beautify our neighborhood. It's going to cause more chaos. I have been in my home since 1997. I own my home. I pay taxes. I'm 54 years old. I don't want the added stress. We don't need another gas station. I can walk with a gas can to 16 gas stations. We have 3 convenience stores. I'm sure there's other things that we can do in our neighborhood to enhance it. So again, I don't want additional theft, crimes, loitering, noise, violence, or obstruction of traffic.
Okay, hold on one second. You may be good. Are there any questions for Ms. Sutton? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then is it Ms. Tutton?
Such an issue, teacher.
No, but her name, I think, is your name is Tutton?
Yes.
Yeah. That's easy. If you'll give your name and address to the record, Ms. Tutton.
I am Adrian Glenn Tutton, and I live at 3062 Overton Crossing.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so be God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and share with us, Ms. Tutton.
I agree with everything my neighbor said. I am closer to this property. I'm closer to the property than she is. So I may be like a 2.5, maybe less than a 3-minute walk to the gas station. Don't need it, don't want it. I'm 50 years old, raising my grandson. I teach at Raleigh Egypt Middle School. I don't want the added stress either. I have Teams meetings. The donuts so loud, I barely can talk with my parents on the phone over the Teams meetings because of so much traffic, so much donut, all the drama going on in the neighborhood. I have to call the police. I've called the police so many times because even that lot that he owned, they used to pull up on that lot. My neighbor that stayed 2 houses over, they was hanging out at the gas station the first week of January 2 years ago. They just plotted up to meet up at the Valero. They started to do donuts, lost control, killed the teacher that worked there, killed the secretary from Fairleigh High School, which was my neighbor. We don't need it at all. And on top of that, most of the people that come to our neighborhood, they sell pork, they sell beer, cigar, cigarette. They don't drink it. They don't drink that beer. They don't smoke those cigarettes. They don't eat that pork, but they bring all that stuff and provide it to us. We don't want it. We have enough beer, pork, cigars, cigarettes, and drama. Don't want it.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Ms. Tutton? Okay, thank you very much. All right, I don't see any other opposition, so we're going to move back to the applicant. You have 2.5 minutes for rebuttal if you have any.
Yes, sir, thank you. And I'm not going to attempt to figure out which one was Sutton and which one was Tutton.
I know.
Okay. But both of them made a lot of the same points. But the response that I would say to that, with the exception of the first comment and some concerns about the environmental issues, was that most of the things she was objecting to can happen with a convenience store. We're not here for an application on a convenience store. It's CMU1 zoning. Without the gasoline sales, we can open a convenience store tomorrow. And you know, this is my opinion. In my opinion, I think there's more problems with the convenience stores that don't have the gas stations and the required lighting requirements and all of that goes with that element. I know we've got problems at a lot of old stores, okay? And I've said this in plenty of neighborhood meetings. I have a wife and 3 daughters, and there are stores that I do not want them to go to at certain times of the day. And that, at certain times of the day, can include the Kroger pumps near my house. But these new stores, I just confirmed, you know, what the investment's going to be. He's going to be spending between 1.2 and 1.35 million to build the store. That's not a small investment in this area. What happens around that store is a function of what the owner has in it and what investment he's trying to protect. That goes for the lighting, that goes for the security, that goes for loitering, and all of the other activities that can happen, all of which can also happen at a neighborhood market that we're not in here to ask about. I'm still happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much. We're done with that. Thank y'all though. So if there's no questions of the board, let's see if we can get a motion to approve BOA 2026-7 as conditioned by staff.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Circling back to your question.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we found out it was approved by the legislative body as part of ZTA 12-1. However, it's not within the DPD staff report. And 12-1 is 2012, for clarity. It's not within the DPD staff report, so it may have been something added by either the Land Use Control Board or the legislative bodies.
Okay. They just didn't tell us why. Correct.
They may have as part of their hearing.
Their stuff, yeah.
But
right. Okay, that's helpful. All right, any discussion?
I guess I'm having trouble most of all with the idea of, gas station, gas pumps, and all that could potentially come from that, being right next to a residence. I just put myself in that property owner's shoes, and I know I would not like that right next door to my home. So just having trouble dealing with that issue. And I know that there are all kinds of regulations and rules that protect against that. I know that gas stations are subject to a lot of inspections, and that we do a lot to keep to stop leakages and to clean them up as soon as we identify them. I realize that, but they still happen occasionally, and I just was the idea of it being right next door to a residence. If there was something between, that would help.
Yeah. I just look kind of at the 125 feet it's supposed to be, and it's not. And, and you have a distance requirement, and the problem is the lot's too small. That's not necessarily unique to me that it's like, well, we have to because it's not enough space. So you do that for everything. I just can't get a good, while maybe a gas station makes sense there, but when you put that requirement on it, I just don't know how I can say okay.
And this one is being built from ground up, right?
From the ground up,
building
yeah.
one, so it's kind of
It's not like we have a
existing building.
store that used to be there, but it wasn't used for a year or something like that, where that's what it's been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think in the staff report it was approved for a gas station like in 1950 or 60, but they never built one. So that entitlement went away a long time ago.
The gas station probably looked a whole lot different in 1950.
Yeah.
Well, the neighborhood.
Before crack cocaine, too.
Right.
1950s, the neighborhood itself probably was different as well.
Any other thoughts? All right, with that, then if you'll give us a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bruce,
No.
Ms. Conrad,
No.
Mr. Claybrook,
No.
Mr. Love,
No.
Vice Chair Savage Selden.
No, I find that the standards of the UDC of 9.22.6 are not being met and will be unduly detrimental to the properties in the vicinity.
And Chair Rainey.
No.
Motion fails.